Hello and welcome to another ARCHLine.XP webinar. My name is Zoltán Tóth. Over here is, as always, our resident architect, Mr. Idéspa.
Hi there.
Today's session is all about groups and profiles, but it's a pretty huge topic, so we need to understand what these things are. So let's get started.
Yeah.
As always, I urge you that since this is a huge topic, you can ask your questions on the right-hand side. If you have any, during the show, we are going to answer them at the end. Iles, in a couple of words, what exactly are we going to talk about today?
Well, those things, the groups and the profiles are a common part of the CAD design, of the 2D and 3D design. We will use them for creating symbols, also for representing cross-sections of columns and several other things. We will focus on these items in the 3D, and you will understand what those are and how we represent them. And we will also cover this topic at the end with a little bit of documentation, a very specific type of group, which is the title box, and that's where we will end today's topic. There are two main things: the groups and the profiles. First, we will focus on the groups themselves.
Groups, what are these even?
And the groups, if we just would like to simplify the topic, those are individual items like lines, text, grouped together, handled together. Basically, anything can be a group. And let's see a few examples. In ARCHLine, when you would like to represent, for example, the north sign, that's a typical group. Let me go back to the ground floor. That is something that you usually don't want to draw by yourself. Perhaps you already created your own north sign. We will talk about that, how you can create your own symbols and how to save it. But once you have those symbols, those groups, then you would like to just click and drag and place them on your drawing. This can be a chair symbol or anything else. Now it's important to talk about these as 2D representations of items, of things. You can find them in the Design Center. In the Design Center there is a specific dedicated button here for the groups, which is bringing up the library of the built-in groups, and this is also where you will find your own groups, that what you create and what we will actually create today with these tools. Now let's go with a very typical one. It's in the signs. Many times I use these circle signs like numbers, letters, and so on, symbols around the drawing. Sometimes for the coloring, color coding of the elevation, and also I use the symbols for the north sign. There is one that I like to use today, is this one, this very typical north sign, which I click and drag inside the drawing. So this way you actually place them the same way as you would place a chair or anything from the Design Center. And then you actually just move it around and try to find the best spot, and then you just click and place it. Now, an interesting thing with the north sign itself is that the software has already a north direction, which is now the default. But if it's already slanted, if you already defined a different north direction previously, then the symbols having a part of the name north will be automatically aligned to the north direction. This is a specialty with the group, but anyhow, these are also just groups. What is a group again? This is when you select it, it has no 3D representation. We won't see that now, because this is just a bunch of lines and text and perhaps hatches. How do I know that? First things first, when you select a group, you will understand it's a group, because at the left-hand side, you will see it's a group. It has special characteristics, special properties. We will talk about that. But there is one special thing with the group, is that you can explode the group, or you can open it like a box. You can go inside and you can edit the content of the group, how that goes. If you select the group and you use the context menu, in the context menu you can find the group specific commands, and here you can see that there is the edit group command. Yeah, editing the group looks like, see, now everything else is grayed out. This means that now you are in that tiny world of the group. You are working only this with this symbol, and if you would like to perhaps change the color of these symbols, add a few more things, let me just do simple things here. I will just select these, and I would like to change their line weight, for example, to something a little bit thicker.
Yes.
And then I will also change its line type to perhaps the dashed line. So it is represented like that now here. Now, first things first, this is not changing the original symbol. I'm working on the local copy of the symbol.
That's right.
And if I just click around, I can only edit now this symbol, the parts of this symbol only. And this is because I opened the box, and then now I'm in the box. I'm in the group now. To close this box, to close the group back, I need to click on any of these items and use the close group command here.
Yes.
Now, again, this became a group that wherever you click on it, it selects the whole thing. And then you can place it. You can actually move it. You can make a copy of it, and you can rotate it just as you would do with any other items.
A question here: if you select the group again, you see that just below the layer it says what the color of the group is. But this is a colored group. It's green. So how does that figure?
Well, that's one specialty with the group. Group is, you can think of the group like the top of the hierarchy, and it contains. I think the box representation is a good thing. Now the box itself has a color, but the content can have different colors inside. So now if you would like to those content inside the lines and everything else making up this group, inheriting the boxes, the group's color, then you need to use the false color option. Now if you enable that option, now everything inside the group became black because the group itself had the color black when you select it. And again, what we do here won't change the original group here. Now still we have the North English sign here, which is this original one. If I click and drag and place it, see, it is the original. We will talk about it, how you can save something for yourself if you would like to have another version of that, but simply editing an already placed group and changing whatever you see inside the group won't change automatically the original group, which is a good thing.
What happens if you move this group to an area which is already hatched? How does that going to look like?
Well, before I go there, we talked about the force color, but there are other things as well. You can force the line type as well. Now, the group has the simple line type, but as you can see, I changed this one to dash line. So if I just force the line type, it will also be simple line. And you can also force the layer, and you can also force the line thickness as well. Now, going back to what you asked, if you move this over an area which is hatched,
that is green area.
For example, this one, sometimes you can see that it changes its color.
Why is that?
Or it's even worse. Sometimes it's overlapped with the area filled with the color, and it's simply because of the drawing order of things. When you place somewhere an item and then you place something on top of it, the last item will have a new drawing order, so it will be literally on top of the other thing, even if it's only plain 2D. Now. That is also something that you can change with the settings. So now if I select this group, I can see its drawing order, its draw order is 8. And I can see the word bottom here, starting here. And if I select this one, which is actually a slab with a filling, it has a draw order number 4, which is a higher number. The top is number 1.
Yes.
So if I just would like to change this and move it on top of the number 4, I need to change it number 3. So this is what I do. I change its priority, its drawing order to number 3, so it will always appear on top of the other one with the lower number. I mean, literally it's the higher number, but in the hierarchy it's the lower.
Makes sense, but can only lines be groups, or can you group groups?
Yeah,
I'm thinking of those things over there.
Yes. Let's see. We talked about the groups that you can find and you can place. And also, actually, you can quick create local groups without saving them, and then we will discuss how you can save them. For example, what is the use of that? For example, you would like to move several things together. Now, you can do that obviously by clicking on one of the item on the other one and then moving them together. But this is tedious. Just imagine you have a bunch of things like 10 or 12 things. You don't want to do this all the time. So you somehow would like to group them, keep them together while you move that. This is what we call a local group. A local group can be created using the drafting tools, and there is the group. and there is the create local group command. It actually has a quick command, Control G.
Yes.
So when you activate this, the software automatically groups them together. Now the visual won't change, but what you will see when you select any of those, it will select the whole thing. So this way you can easily fine-tune or make a copy of these things. Now if I move it around and I just change the position a little bit, see it's moving in the 2D and in the 3D as well. So this is a good thing. Now sometimes you just, as you created it now, you just would like to make it temporary and then you would like to break it up.
Yes.
In that case, you will use a command that you can find here, which is the explode group. So you actually explode it to the original parts. I won't do that now, but this is what you can do with a group. Also, you can explode it to its components. Yeah.
How are groups made?
So now, yeah, we came to the part when we would like to save something. Now, an obvious thing is when you have a symbol that you would like to create. Sometimes I actually created at home for my own, I created a specific North symbol, which I like to use. This is my design, this is how I like it. But there could be other reasons, like, for example, you have an electric symbol or a very specific MEP symbol that you would like to use, which is perhaps not part of the software. In that case, you can import that, or you can, first things first, you can draw it for yourself and turn it into a group. But now we would like to cover that you can actually import DWG files, and that content you can turn also into a group. Either, so you can draw it, or you can import the content and turn it into a group. The second we will discuss now.
What kind of example do you have for that?
Okay, let's go to an empty place. I think I will use this white area here. I will. On the other screen, I have my file explorer opened, and I have a DWG file here with a specific wheelchair symbol. So I just click and drag it here, release, and then I can see what's the content. It's a very simple symbol. I use it a lot around in parking lots, having this feature. Now, this is a 2D drawing. It's having no 3D, and the size is correct. This is what I want, yes, and I say, okay. This is something that I would like to place with a new origin. If you don't enable this option, you use perhaps this many times, the software will automatically align it with the 0 of the project. Now it won't be good, so I just would like to place it manually somewhere where I wish. So I hit OK, and then I place it somewhere where I can play with it, where I can do whatever I want with that. Now this is a group when you select it, but it is not saved in your libraries yet. It's just an imported one. Yeah, it's a local group when you import something like that. So if you would like to save this, you can do that. Let's just discuss one another thing. I did not explode the previous group, but here I would like to show you what happens when you explode a group. So this is a local group, which when you explode group, then see it explodes to its primitives. These very simple things, like which assembles this whole thing up. So now I would like to turn this line drawing, which either I created or imported, so I select it. And then in the group category, in the drafting group, you can find the one which is called create group in library. This will actually create a copy in the design center. So I click here, and then there is one specific part for this. You need to define a so-called reference point. And reference points are the points that you can use when you place this around your drawing. So I think this can be easily placed with its center, first things first. So I click here. This will be the first reference point. Yes. And then I define a second reference point, and so on. I can define as many as I wish. Now I'm happy with these two reference points. So number 1 is the center, number 2 is the bottom, and I hit enter to finish it. Now I can save it into the libraries. Last time I saved my things into the printing library, so I change it to, the printing category in the library. So I will save things today into my category, and then here I will create something. Let's make it simple. Let's make it webinar. Yeah, this will be the webinar library. So and this will be. Can you please type wheelchair symbol 2D, for example? Wheelchair symbol
2D, right?
2D, yeah, okay. That's correct. So now we saved it. There's no producer, so we won't bother that. Category, subcategory, and name is enough, and we say OK. And by the way, one other thing here, you can actually use standard naming of things if you would like to be BIM compatible. You can choose 2 options, or you can just freely name it as you wish.
And what happens now?
And now when you hit OK, this is actually grouped here, and then it is saved into the library. I remove this from here. so we won't confuse ourselves what happens here. And then I will just place it around here with by finding it in the groups library. So I go using the home button to the home page of the Design Center, and there is the group, there is my library, and there is the webinar library we just created. There's one element, which is the wheelchair symbol 2D. So now I have two options. I can simply go there, click and drag, and place it somewhere, for example, here. Or if I would like to place it somehow else by, for example, checking its size, I can just click on it and I can see this is actually a 1.7 by 2 meter tall symbol. And then also I have another option. Before I place it, I can actually double click on the symbol and I can change the scale. So if I would like to place this with half the size of the original, I just change this value 0.5, and I can actually click here to change the size using exact values as well. And there are several other options like rotation and so on, but I just keep it. And here, as you can see there, number 1 and number 2 for placement. I can actually select which I would like to use for placement. So if I fancy placing it with the bottom point, I click there, yes. and I say okay. So now I place a symbol half the size of the original with the bottom point. If on the fly I would like to cycle through the reference points that I have just created, number 1 in the center, number 2 at the bottom, I can just use F5. Like it's the same in case of the wall. You can use the same thing by cycling through the reference point. So this is also a very good thing to do.
Could you make the symbol perpendicular to the driveway itself?
Yes, the symbol is actually behaving quite similar to whatever else you have created in the drawing. Yeah, you can use this. You can use the movement, or actually you can just freely rotate it. Or if you know the inclination, or you can draft a perpendicular direction. Then this is how you define it.
Perfect. Let's see another example for using groups. A very common one is when you want to replace the door symbols. We have quite a few doors in this model, and the software uses the factory defaults. But if you have a very specialized 2D symbol with which you want to change the factory default, then there's a way for that.
Yes. A door symbol in this manner is a very specific thing. It is also starting its life by being a 2D group. So, and by the way, all the doors in ARCHLine have their own 2D group, so you don't have to work with those all the time. This is only a topic when you would like to change that default 2D symbol to something else. So I actually have a 2D symbol downloaded from a web page, which is representing a very simple 2D symbol of a door. It's a DWG file again. So I don't want to create it by myself. This is still a line drawing. I just hit OK, and then I place it with its origin onto the drawing manually. So this is where I place it, and then I will start working with that. So again, this is a bunch of lines. Well, let me explode it. A bunch of lines, curves, and perhaps sometimes hatches or something like that. So I would like to turn this into another 2D symbol. Let me go back to this library, so we will see it appearing in the webinar catalog. So I'm selecting, so this is how it goes. You select something that you would like to turn into a group, then you use the group, create group in a library. And there's one special thing with the door symbol. If you would like to use this as a door symbol, not just any 2D symbol, then there is a very specific order how you need to define 4 different reference points.
Or insertion points. So that's how the door is going to be inserted onto the model that you have.
This is the way the software will understand what are the sides and what is the front and what is the back of the door. So number 1 is at the left top. Number 2 is at the right top, and number 3 is at the left bottom, and number 4 is at the left right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the correct order. So you just define those, and you do not define any other. You just 4 reference points, and then you save it. And from this point on, it's the same. Let's just type webinar 2D door symbol or something like that. To the door symbol, yeah, it goes to the my category and to my to the webinar subcategory. And
how do we use it?
And it goes. Okay, so now again, this is already a group. I just erase that, and then to be able to use it on a door, let me just use it here. I have a door with the same size. That was a 1 meter wide symbol, and I have a 1 meter wide door here. So I go here, I select it, I go to the local menu, use Edit. And then in Edit, you can see the Change 2D group. And the Change 2D group allows you to select the groups. Now, again, you will see all the categories. There is my category, with the webinar symbols, and there is the webinar 2D door symbol, this one, and I hit OK. Then the software switches the original door symbol to the new one. And again, I will have the same options. I can just flip it,
right.
I can rotate it, I can do whatever,
can you just
I want.
zoom in the
that.
insertion points just to show that now the door is completely replaced with another
Yeah,
version.
that's right, that's right.
But a very important question comes up right away. So far you were showing us two-dimensional elements.
Yes.
And you briefly showed how to move those lawn chairs and parasol with a group.
Yeah.
Can you use groups for 3D elements?
Yeah, I can actually. Talking about that, as you can see, there is a balcony here and there is no balcony over there. I left it out to be able to represent this behavior. Now we are on the ground floor, so I go back one floor up above to the first floor, and there is this balcony. Now this balcony actually has a slab and it has a railing around.
Yes.
Now we covered and I highlighted that those groups we worked together, those were 2D groups, but you can do the same thing with architectural items. You can group them together, you can save it for later work to be able to access them in future works, and I will be able to even share that with you. We will discuss that as well. So okay, so now I just select everything. We can see in the 3D that I have selected on the 2D all the slab and also the railing itself.
Yep.
Now to save this as one symbol, one 2D, one group, this is a 3D group actually, I use the same command, group and create group in library. Now again, I need to define the reference points. I define as many as I think will be necessary. I define all these 6. And then I hit enter, and then I name it. Let's just name it webinar balcony 3D symbol or 3D group. Yeah, that's correct. So again, it goes to the my library, webinar library, and okay. So now if I would like to place that symbol, let's imagine I opened a new project and I would like to place it. I just need to find my own category here in the groups, my category, webinar category, in this case, and use the webinar balcony 3D symbol, click and drag, release, and then now the first was points. The bottom insertion point. And again, instead of just quickly click and drag, I can just use the next reference point to cycle through these reference points, or I can actually use the F5 key, or there was an alternative, if you remember, if you double click on it before you place it, you can just really select whichever you would like to use, and then you just place it over there, and then it appears in the 3D. Still, yes. It is not just a 2D symbol, because I group together architectural parts which I designed before. I still can access them, I can edit them, I can do whatever I wanted, and I can also explode this group into something as being part of the one single slab and one single railing as well, to be able to work with them as individual items.
Perfect. So now, leaving the topic of groups behind for just a second, let's talk about profiles. Yeah. And what I'm interested in is what the differences are between profiles and groups. So can you tell us real quick, maybe we could see a few examples for what profiles even are.
Okay, so what profiles are? The difference between a group and the profile is how you use them. Basically, you use groups for either 2D symbols like entrance symbol, wheelchair symbol, we used it, or other grouped together parts like this here, and then you reuse them continuously, reuse them in the software. So it's actually a bunch of items grouped together with a name. A profile is mostly used for cross sections or paths. And let's see the most obvious one. A cross section profile, which is a profile in the software, we call it a closed profile, is the cross section profile, for example, of a beam or a column. Let's see how it goes. If you go into the properties of any of these, you will be able to find a button at the bottom, which allows you to go to the library and select a different profile and go and find anything else, and then you use it. By default, the software uses these profiles as cross sections swept along a path. This is how it goes with a railing, for example, here. Or this is how it goes, for example, with a decoration profile around. That is also created by using a profile. And there's the railing here. It uses a lot of the profiles, like circular profiles swept along the path here. And also there is a specific one with the gutter. Now the gutter, we will talk about that. It actually is a good item. I will be able to show you both two different profile types, the open profiles and the closed profiles. And there is one another very specific profile option, which is the beam ending profile, which is here. You can actually design these as well. We will just go through all these and see how it goes.
So should we first start with the closed and yes, the closed profiles? Can you show us an example on how do we work with the closed profiles? You mentioned something about a wheelchair symbol. You want to do something with that?
Yes, we use this wheelchair symbol as a 2D group, and now I would like to show you with this specific command what is the difference if you use the same symbol as a profile. So now I have this here. Let me just remove it to this empty area, as here. And well, actually, I just remove it completely. So I just place it again onto the drawing. And by placing it, I have this 2D group. It won't appear in the 3D. We can't see it anywhere here. This is just a 2D bunch of lines and curves. This is a group. Now, anything that is created by you or imported from a different software, which is now I exploded curves and lines, polylines, can be turned into a profile using the new profile command. Now the new profile we now talk about a closed profile. If you click on that, you will be able to turn this into a profile.
How?
Usually a profile, when we talk about a cross-section profile, for example, for that specific column, which is an I profile or HEA profile, that is a closed loop of one single contour. But this is a little bit specific because this has actually two closed contours. So this is when we talk about multiple profiles. So one profile which is assembled from multiple elements. So I use this one, and then instead of going through and click around and design these shapes, I will make it faster by using this shape recognition tool, which is the closed loop. So I click here, and I click inside this same symbol part, so it gets recognized. I'm fine with that. I hit enter, and then it gets recognized all with the curves and everything else. Now I use the closed loop again, and I add this part as well. It gets recognized, and then the software will actually turn this into a group. Yeah, well, perhaps I just clicked somewhere in the wrong place. So let me just click here, yeah, and then I just click enter, and then it is. Now, by look, it is similar. Let's name it wheelchair profile or symbol profile. Yeah, this also goes to my category, and let me just select. We don't have a profile library with webinar. That was the group. So let me just create webinar profiles. Okay, so it is. So there's an extra letter here. Yes. So this will be webinar profiles in the my category of the profile libraries. So I have a wheelchair profile, I save it, and then let me just remove this from here.
We don't need that no more.
I will be able to use this. I can use it as a cross section of a column as well, but now I would like to use it for a 3D shape. Now I would like to place it as a real 3D shape here at this place to represent it also in the 3D. So I will use this option here. And I just set up a very tiny height. This will be 0.01, only 1 millimeter, and the material will be something nice, bright white. And what's important, I would like to change the top shape. Instead of using this rectangle symbol, I will go there and find my profiles in this. This was the my profile, and this was the webinar profiles. Yes, thank you. And it's here, this one. I select that, and okay. So now it changes its shape. Now take care when you use the 3D shape. The 3D shape uses its own size, whatever the original constraint was. Now originally I just took note of that. This symbol was 1.7 per 2 meters. So the width is 1, the depth is, which is the height in this case, is 2. So this is how it looks correctly. So I just changed it back to what it was originally. Then I can use this, place it on the drawing, and I just place it around here perhaps, and then I just click and select it, and then I align it with this one here, and then it appears as kind of a very thin painting on this surface. So that was the main difference. The 2D group you use it only for grouping things together, but the profile can be used also for 3D objects. You can turn a profile. You usually use the profile for 3D representation of cross sections.
Can you show us the creation of open profiles?
Yeah, an open profile, we discussed that with the ending of the roof, for example. Now let me just highlight that area, and I think I will see
I think
something
we can turn off the
nice
shadows
here.
to see
Yeah, that's right. Let me just go here and change and shadow off, both off, yeah. So this is here something that I would like to change. This actually already has a very specific open profile. So I will just select the item, see what's happening, what's the secret of this roof. Now if I go into the settings of this roof, I can find, this is actually the middle purlin, so I go to the middle purlin settings, and I can tell that there is a special user profile ending here, which is it's a German name for the ending of this item. If I go there, this is something that was designed by the original maker of this project, which we are very thankful for, again, to be able to use this project from the designer. So this project, this is actually a bunch of lines. So let me create something similar. See, now the size is around like a regular size of an ending of these items. So I will use something similar. I click OK, and I just close this back up and go back to the ground floor and try to draw something again with simple drafting items, lines, and polylines perhaps.
So essentially you just have to draw a bunch of polylines.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that it shouldn't be closed, because otherwise it won't be able to work the way it
Yes,
did
that's
right now.
that's right. I again need to consider what unit I'm using now. Usually we use millimeters, but now in this project we use meters.
Yes.
So I just use 0. For example, 15. So that will be the length of it. I will just, so I keep just clicking and designing something like this. And again, I like that, okay.
This should be good.
Yeah.
Can we have a curve in it?
Yeah, we could. I can turn any of these parts into a curvy part by removing and changing the shape. This is all the same set
Yes.
of
So
commands that you can use anywhere else. So this is what I would like to see here. So I go and turn it into an open profile. I use the define open profile command, and then I click on this. And now again, I could draw the profile, but as I already have it on my drawing, I just use because this is not a closed loop. I can't click in it, but I can use the select an item.
Yes.
So I click here and I click on this one, and then it gets recognized. All I need to do is to be able to find the bottom reference point, and then the software will be able to use it. So this will be like, let's name it end profile W, for example, so we will be able to find it easily. This goes to the webinar profiles. Okay.
How do we use it?
So to be able to use it again, we need to go back to the settings of this roof, and in the settings we can find the middle purlin, and in the middle purlin I can see this ending, which was the user profile, and being able to select another one with the select profile command, I'm going and browsing for my own, which is in the webinar profiles and the end profile, this one. Okay, so this is how it goes. It has a specific size. Okay, and okay. And then now if I click update already, I can see it appearing here. So it's very, very tiny now. Again, you can just change it to something else. This is where you can change its size. This is where you actually change it. So you can just skip this part, for example, and say you would like to change its height, or you would like to uniform change it to double the size. Okay, okay, and okay. So now update, and then now it's larger. So this is how you can scale it. And then now you say okay, and then it appears in the design, and from this point on it goes for all the renders and all the elevations and everywhere.
Yes. You mentioned something about profiles being used for two things: to create cross sections and to create paths as well.
Yes, that's right.
And you said something about the downspout, so maybe you can show us.
Yeah, that's right. The downspout actually is a good connection of the two worlds, the open profiles and the Closed profiles are a very good example to that, because when you select that and you go into the properties, you will be able to find two pages. One is the gutter section profile. Now again, this is a closed profile. As you can see, this gutter section profile is actually two curves with an ending at the end. This is like a U shape, which I used here. That makes a body when it's swept along a path. And those here, those are the downspout, and those are also created by a selection of paths.
Mm-hmm.
Those paths are also something that you can just simply design on a side view, or you can even open an existing DWG file and use that curve that you see here and save it as a new open profile.
Yes.
And then you will be able to select it here. You can browse the same library wherever you go, the profile library. So then all you need to do is to define its length and to place it somewhere here. That's the specialty of the gutter. But any other than that, this is actually a path profile, an open profile, previously selected. So I just go OK. And actually, one other thing I sometimes forget to talk about it, but also here is the place where you can select the cross-section profile of this downspout. So the cross-section profile and the path profile. Yes. So okay, and then this profile and many of the profiles that you can find in ARCHLine on all the paths are the same in this manner. You can change their path. You can click here and you can use offset, for example, to change it somewhere else. Or you can click on the ending to change its length and so on. So you can actually, even if you work with the predefined profile, you can edit it and customize it and tailor it for the current need of the project easily.
Now we talked about how to create and how to use these profiles and groups, but one thing what we haven't touched upon is how do we move these elements from one workstation to the other, because there's a way for that, right?
Yes, that's right. Now, the easiest is if, for example, one scenario is when I'm using it alone, I'm working alone. I created something here in the company and I would like to save it onto my cloud, for example, and be able to open it on my computer at home. In that case, what I do, like for example, I like this wheelchair symbol, I would like to use it at home. In that case, I just right-click here and I click on, I just select it and I click on the export option.
Yes,
okay, so this is how I can save it into a file, a physical file on my computer, and then I will be able to copy that onto my pen drive or onto the cloud, and then at home I download it and I import it using the same menu, using the import command here to be able to read it. Now, once I have that, I can also transfer this to another computer. One another topic is when we work together and I would like to share what I have here. We are working in this same environment, in this same LAN environment, and then I would like to share this symbol that I have on my computer with you. Well, so let's imagine.
What do you do then?
So let's imagine this computer which we use now, which you can see now on screen, is your computer.
Yes,
and I have a computer at home. Let me just connect to that. I will use the remote desktop here. I have this ARCHLine opened on another computer in the other room. Now, as you can see, at the left-hand side, I have a group library in my category, which is called Symbols of Ilish. There are two symbols which I already shared with you. There is a new one which I created, and I would like to share that with you as well. To share something with you is very simple. If I right-click here and I click on Share, it gets shared with you.
How?
There is one setting that makes it possible, which I will cover here in our computer. So now I already shared that with you. So I go back to this computer and see what is the setting that makes it possible. I go here and you can see the open and save settings, and all you need to do is on both computers you need to set up the share library. This here. Specify a network location of the shared objects, and this is where you do it. You just browse for that folder and this is where you save it. And I did it on this computer and I did the same thing on the other computer. So now both computer uses a shared library which is at the same network location. So once I share that symbol, that specific symbol with you on this on my computer, it will appear on this computer next time we start the command the software, because now I still see in my library there's symbols of Ilish. There's only 2.
Yes.
But it's already shared. So what I do, I just close it and I start it again. And then after I started it, it comes up soon. I will be able to see that symbol appearing here as well for you. So you will be able to use it. Do you need to browse
for it, or it will be in that folder?
It will be automatically appearing there if I did it correctly. So that's, I will just open this one, the same project that I used before. And then we will browse at the left-hand side to the design center in the group library. So let's just open this up.
And then we can.
Well, actually, I didn't save the previous version, so we won't see the wheelchair symbol on the 2D. But other than that, I will be able to find it here in the groups, and there is and there is the symbols of Ilish. Now it's already 3, and there is the new symbol that I shared with you. So I can place it somewhere here, for example, by click and drag and place it into some of the rooms. This is actually an office corner.
Yes. Now, you mentioned briefly that there are some specialized groups and profiles, and one of these groups which are pretty special are the title boxes.
That's right.
Because they are not only lines, but they also have variables in them.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to know how these are created with text
and what variables are. Yeah.
Yes. Variables could be, I mean, there could be images, there could be text, there could be any other stuff. So how do we create them?
Yeah, okay. I actually created a very simple sample file in this project for that, so I won't need to recreate it from scratch. It's actually a simple drawing. Let me just go and find the hidden views. It's the title block here. And I use this turning lines and text and everything else into something that I would like to use later on as a symbol. A title box is not just a 2D symbol. It actually can contain also graphics, like you have your own logo saved in a PNG file, for example. You can paste it here, or you can download other symbols and paste it here as well. But there are the texts that are changing from a title box to title box, because the title of the drawing itself changes, perhaps the revision number changes, perhaps the date is changing. So those are things that you would like to not just place it as an existing stamp, but you would like to change them. Now, to be able to do that, first things first, you will place, we call them static text, that you won't likely change them so often.
They are part of the group, no matter what.
And you can also place variables. Those are variables because they are varying through time. Do you change them? Those are things that you can specifically place with a very specific command in the plot layout. In the plot layout, you can find the create plot stamp group command. And you will be able to find the variables here. Now, this is a help for you, so you don't have to figure it out what sort of variables the software has. It actually lists out all the variables that it can offer for you. And then you can select, for example, let me just go with a very simple one. Let me just go with the project name and the architect name, and see there is one specific part here which is telling me that I already defined the architect name, which is in this case architect, and I also defined the project name, which was Bauantrag. It's a German name for this project. So so when I hit OK, and then I set up the text height that I would like to use, then I can place it somewhere. For example, this will be the box for the project name, and this will be the box for the designer name. Let's keep it simple.
Yes.
Now there is a very specific symbol at the beginning that's a dollar sign, and that is showing me that this will be a variable when I use it as a title box. This is still just a drawing of specific texts and lines. But to be able to turn it into a title box, I need to select it and use the plot layout, create plot stamp, and new plot stamp command. So let's just select it. And plot layout, new plot stamp. And then I need to define the specific corner points that I would like to use later on. And when I hit enter, then the software turns this into a plot stamp. Let's just use it as a title box. Title box webinar. Let's keep it simple.
And how do we use them?
My typo. It's even worse. So okay, so that's the title box webinar. We save it in the printing category. Actually, the printing category already stores a few default title boxes, but many people create their own title box, so I think this is a useful thing to talk about. And I just save it into the English subcategory because it actually is an English title box. So let's say OK. See, there is one thing that you might notice, that the variables disappear.
They're gone, yes.
That's cool, that's okay, because we don't want to see dollar something text here. So I just close this back up, and I use this, and then I use this on one of my plot layouts here, and I will place it here. So let's just switch between the drawings, and let's just place it around here.
These drawings are one-to-one, so what do you do then?
And so what I need to do is to go to the group library and find the printing, and there was one with the English, and see, there are all the rest, and I will be able to find, what was the name, title box webinar.
That's right.
So I just click and place and release, and then I will be able to place it with its first corner point, and then again I can use the F5 to switch to the other one. I think this is an even better place. And then I just place it, and then the software autofills the designer and the project if I already defined that in the BIM parameters. I will show you that how it goes. And then actually you can change any of those later, and if you made a typo, don't worry, you can correct it here. But let's just say OK, and now I have this architect and the Bauantrag automatically filled up. What is the place to define these?
Yes, where do we define these elements? How does the plot stamp bring in this information?
Yeah, this is a BIM information. It comes from the file BIM and project parameters. This is where I actually filled that up. The project name and the architect, it was here. That was the architect name. I kept it simple. So whatever you fill up here, those when you add them as a variable into your title box, those can be automatically filled. But if you would anyhow forget any of these that we talked about, one very useful thing to know about groups is that if they contain text, then there is an option within the group itself, within any of the groups that you can find in the software, that has the edit text in group. So when you click here, the software will automatically search and find the text and list them for you, and then you can change. So for example, if I made a typo or I just would like to change how it is written, then I can change it at any time and hit OK. Then I do the same, which I could do when I open the group, edit the text, and close the group back up. This is a specialty for the groups, and that's a very useful thing.
So that's actually what groups and profiles can do in ARCHLine. Obviously, there are more examples. The point is that groups and profiles can make your work much efficient, and profiles define how this project even looks like. So that's what we wanted to discuss today. About next time, we are going to return to another topic which we have discussed, but now it's time to revisit it again. ARCHLine.XP LT plus live. How a project comes to life from the first lines all the way to the renders that you can create in live.
Yes.
That is going to be one breathtaking and amazing and very spectacular result.
Yes. So we are looking forward to see you over there. If you like this content,
yes, then like it and subscribe to the channel so you are
not
going to miss out on similar videos like this one. See you next Wednesday at the usual time, and until next time, happy designing. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.